Everybody, welcome to Still City Phantom. It's not Sunday. I don't really know what day it is, but you and I are talking again, so we must be
Talkin Anime.
This is our continuation of the Dressrosa Saga. We did Punk Hazard last time. Now we're going to do the Dressrosa Arc by itself. Since there's so much of this shit, it's hard to keep track of it sometimes. So you gotta break it down a little bit. And Justin put us together a little cheat sheet. And we're going to get into Dressrosa. You finished this arc. We talked Punk Hazard last time, so we knew right where we're at and what we got to, what we're doing. But we're going to do this one a little differently because there's a lot of information in here and things we want to talk about. So we're going to get a lot of backstories. One Piece loves the backstories. So we're going to get through the backstories first, and then talk about the actual happenings. So Dressrosa itself, fancy-looking island. Everybody's real, dressed nice, clean. It doesn't look like there's a lot of poverty. It has this outlook to it of like, this is a fantastic place to be.
Yeah.
Right?
When you first get there.
This is where you want to be. Everybody's walking around with a bunch of like toys that can talk. Very confusing weird. Right out the gate. Like, there's a toy soldier, there's this toy thing, and they're all like helping people without any reason at all. Like, you have a toy that's just hangs out with this kid and you're like, where's this toy come from? Why does anyone question why there's toys here? It's very weird. You meet of course we get Doflamingo, and you meet his family. These are the Don Quixote pirates. The Don Quixote pirates are set up where they have elite officers who are in charge, and then they're almost like generals. So we already met Virgo.
Yes.
He was in Punk Hazard. The guy with food on his face. They have a title where Don Quixote Doflamingo is the captain of the Don Quixote pirates. But they're almost kind of set up like, to me, it was like a mafia.
Yeah, very similar.
So they had a ranking called a Corazon, which is like his right-hand man.
Which I would, if you're doing the mob thing, that would be almost like maybe the consigliere.
Something like that, yeah. So the current one was Virgo. The one that was before this was Don Quixote's brother, Don Quixote Rocinante.
Yes.
He was the original Corazon. We'll get to him in a second. The other three that are the major players in the Don Quixote family, you had Treble, Diamante, and Pica.
Mm-hmm.
They each had officers underneath them. So, and now these people also had like major, they had armies also. They had a lot of soldiers, and there's a lot more people in this thing. But you had people like, under Treble, you had Sugar and Giola, Violet. Your favorite, Lao G, was under Diamante.
Fucking hated
Senior
Lao G.
Pink. Machines, Mock Vice or whatever. He was terrible. Dellinger was super annoying.
I actually liked Dellinger.
Wasn't he a fish man?
He was, but you couldn't tell until like the very end.
He had a fin on his back.
And he had the horns. He was a fighting fish man.
Right, but he wore high heels, which was weird.
He wore high heels and these tiny little shorts. He was very effeminate.
It was really strange. Senior Pink is a grown man dressed as a baby who's smooth with the women. He had the swim fruit.
Which allowed him to swim in the ground.
Right. There was a lot of people in these families that you're like, man, these people are weird. But as you heard more of their stories, you were like, I don't know. I got into them. I liked the Don Quixote family a lot.
I still don't think Senior Pink's story, like, it makes sense, but it was
so Senior Pink's story wearing this guy was like a mobster.
Yeah,
And
essentially.
he always dressed like to the nines. He always had a nice suit on,
Yep.
everything like that. And he was married to a lady, and she didn't know that he was a mobster. He was working for the Don Quixote family, doing hits, doing like mob hits. It's very
Yeah.
like Sopranos level type stuff like that. And his wife gets pregnant. The baby dies, which is real terrible.
Yeah.
And then she goes into like a catatonic state.
Well,
So
she finds out, like, after their son dies, she finds out that he's a pirate. And she, like, leaves him and runs out into this big rainstorm. And I don't know if she gets struck by lightning or something terrible happens to her. And yeah, then she ends up in this catatonic state.
yeah, and to make her smile, one day he wears the baby bonnet in, and she like smiles about it and is like happy. So then he just starts doing more, wearing the pacifier, doing all this stuff, and he wears it around. I don't know. I thought it was really touching. Like he does all this stuff to make her smile, and other people make fun of him, but he doesn't
He
care
just doesn't care.
anymore. And then they kill his wife, don't they? Diamante had his wife killed then
Yeah, I think you're right.
to like get him out of this whole like being dedicated to her, and then he just becomes Senor Pink, and he's a womanizer and all that, but he still dresses like in these baby clothes, which is really
the diaper, a little tiny T-shirt, the bonnet, and the
very
pacifier.
strange. It's
Oh,
very
God.
strange. Like and then we already talked about like Baby Five and Buffalo. They're under Pika and that Gladys dude. Gladius.
I thought
or whatever.
Gladius was cool.
Yeah. Pika is crazy powerful because Pika is like he can like go into a wall and like absorb the wall and turn into a giant, like form the material around them. He's pretty powerful the way they do it, but of course everybody has a weakness.
Yeah.
Diamante can turn like things hard, like into metal, like a cape. He can turn things hard, yeah, basically. But pretty dangerous power.
We got to talk about Diamante because Diamante was clearly based off of Steven Tyler.
Oh yeah, he's
kind of like
him.
a rock. He looks like him. He's kind of like a rock star kind of dude. It was absolutely. I want to meet Oda and ask him that question.
Yeah. Yeah. Stupid Bellamy's hanging out trying to like, be a pirate. Bellamy's back. Bellamy's the worst. Me and you don't like Bellamy whatsoever.
Yeah, Bellamy sucks.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool groups. Like we said, Gladius was pretty cool with the rupture stuff that he would do. Lauji was annoying. But
he was powerful though.
He was
powerful, but I hated him. He was like
he just a hockey user.
Yeah, I don't think he had a devil fruit.
Yeah. With a capital G, he would do that all the time. And then Treble is disgusting. He's just mucus. He controls mucus, and he is one of the most annoying. Treble's an evil, like, got a good backstory to him, but he's just very disgusting to look at. I felt like,
yeah, he basically wears clothes of mucus. Like
his whole entire body is like mucus, and you don't really understand it. Like he really doesn't have regular clothes on. It's just mucus because he has this like deformed body. It's really strange. Some of that stuff. But so that's their family, and then you learn about Dolphy.
Yeah.
You want to walk us through Dolphy's backstory?
So Dolphy was the son of a celestial dragon. Right. They were from Marie Joie, and for some reason, which we really don't ever find out that I know of, he decides to give up his birthright and just go live with humans.
He was very tired of the way they were. He didn't like that mindset. He felt it was wrong. He didn't want to be that anymore. And where they fucked up is that they basically go to live in Dressrosa, and they're in Dressrosa, right?
That's what I'm not sure if it was Dressrosa where they set them up.
I think they were. They were somewhere around there, but they go to live there, and like an idiot, he mentions that they were celestial dragons.
Yeah.
And then the people instantly fucking turn on him and hate them so much, and rightfully so, because celestial dragons had done terrible things.
Yeah.
So they
awful.
captured this poor family and tortured the shit out of him, kill his mom, Dolphy's mom.
Yeah, and then the final thing, they're literally crucifying Dofi, Rosinante, and the father on their burning house.
Yeah.
And Dofi gets so mad. I do have to say, he is a mean little entitled, vindictive shit.
He's an evil little kid.
He is. Who was just made more evil by these people.
He's the exact opposite of Rosinante. Rosinante was a nice little kid that was terrified and scared of the world he lived in. Dolphy was just filled with rage.
Mm-hmm. So as they're hanging there crucifying them, Dolphy's yelling at the people, I'm going to get you for this. You're not going to kill me today. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to murder every single one of you assholes.
Yeah.
And he screams out something and uses Conqueror's Hockey and knocks out the entire mob that is there trying to kill them.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That rage was inside of him. And then he meets Treble, who you find out seems kind of in the beginning just to be kind of like a big blubber and idiot, but you really see that he was kind of the mastermind behind everything.
Yeah.
He realized this kid has power, so I'm going to turn him into like a gangster. It's very mob related. Like he's like,
definitely.
He has him, Diamante, Pika's with them, Virgo's a little kid, and that might have been it.
I think Lao G was there.
Yeah, and then they added more and more, and then they were like grooming this kid.
But the thing I don't understand is like, Treble seemed like he was the leader of that organization, we'll call it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like when he finds Dofi, instantly Dofi's now, as a 10-year-old kid, Dofi's the leader of this group now.
Yeah, I think he realized how powerful this kid is and he better get on the right side of him.
I guess.
Because I think he realized, like, I can only go so far as me being who I am. And you notice when they're showing you the backups, the backstories, they don't have their devil fruits at certain parts. Then you see them start.
I think Treble has his the whole time because he was big the whole time.
Yeah, he looked a little different, but like Diamante didn't have it, and Pika didn't right at first.
No,
but then
definitely.
He started to change. And you just see them add all the people. Baby Five's a little kid, also with them.
And Buffalo's a little kid.
It's just really unique how like they're grooming. It's some dark overtones. They're grooming these little kids to grow up to be gangsters. Virgo's a little kid. It's all these kids with like no families, no nothing. There's a lot of heavy undertones in this part that leads to the creation of this fucked up family that eventually Dofi kills his dad, takes the head to Marie Joie.
Takes his head and takes it back to Marie Joie to try and get back in good with the Celestial Dragons, and they're like, no, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. And then being how Dofi went through life, I don't know if they showed you this here, but you do see Dofi at Logtown when Gold Roger is killed.
I don't think that must be in the future because I don't think
he's a younger dude and he's like there watching that and he kind of is laughing during it. Like this dude's been an evil dude for a long time.
Yeah.
But one thing that's great about Dofi is he understands his place. Like he realizes Kaido will fucking kill me. I cannot fuck with this dude. Like he's just tougher than me. But like I'm going to make myself important as well and get to my standing of what I need to be at by doing these tasks that he has and taking over Dressrosa, which is we'll get to here in a second, but it's very nuts.
Yeah.
And then he goes down the route that happened to him, what Treble did to him, grooming him. They come across Law.
Yeah. Law shows up. We'll get into Law first. So Law is the only known survivor of a town called Flavance, and I can't remember the name of the island it was on, but one of the things that was about this island and this town, they found this white metal in the ground.
Yeah.
And it was very beautiful, and they could make, beautiful things out of it. And it
And
made
they
the town.
sold it, right?
Yeah,
They
sold
traded
it.
it.
They
Yeah.
made it. They used it as a trade item. And it made the country very rich. What you found out though was, if once you mine it, it is or the process of mining it is poison. It basically poisons you. And everyone there got what they called white lead syndrome. And it killed you relatively quickly. And it passed down from like parent to child.
The children, yeah.
Then you grow up, and then they'd have kids, and they would have it, and it would shorten the lights. Every generation, the lifespan of the people got shorter.
Right.
And finally, it got to the point where the neighboring countries just went in and killed everybody because they were afraid that they were going to get out and be contagious, because they didn't understand it was genetically passed, not like
contagious.
Contagious, yeah.
Right.
And Law is the only known survivor of this city, and he
was going to die at a young age.
Yeah, I think by 13, I think he was going to be dead. Both his parents were doctors, and he trained to be a doctor from the time he was like 8, I think they said.
Mm-hmm.
Another
genius level doctor like Chopper.
Yes, yeah. And when he finally escapes, he finds himself in the company of Dofi's crew, and basically shows up just an angry little kid. And I think Dofi sees a little bit of himself in him, and he literally says, "I want to kill as many people as I can before I go out."
Mm-hmm. And they're just child grooming, just letting this person become like a killer like them. But then he gets, I like when they introduce Rosinante as, he's the Corazon. They call him Cora.
Yep.
And they're like, don't fuck with him. He hates kids. He's mean. He doesn't speak. I have to say, this little arc of Law and being with Cora and what they go through, they basically go through finding out that Cora is not like really a bad guy. He's working for Sengoku. He has the com fruit. That way you can't hear him talk. And this story of the two of them together, it's really one of my favorite parts of One Piece, of all of them when I went through it. I so enjoyed this, and I don't know why. I just thought it was so well written that, like, this guy, he saw something in, like, Law, and he just, like, takes him under his wing and tries to, like, save him, and tries to get the op fruit so they can cure Law, and instead ends up giving it to Law. And, of course, Dofi wants the op fruit because there's technically, with the op fruit that we explained before, but there's technically a procedure that you can do to somebody with the op fruit to make them eternal.
I thought the person with the op fruit could do the procedure on another person.
And then the op fruit owner dies.
Yes.
So Dofi wanted this fruit so that he could give it to someone to do the procedure on him, and then that person would die. So the op fruit, it's one of the most powerful fruits out there and sought after fruits.
Yeah.
Because of, if you do that that surgery or whatever it may be. But man, this was, I thought, so touching. Like, they end up becoming like a father and son.
Yep.
And Cora sacrifices himself so Law can live, and it's a sad ass scene. I mean,
it is really bad because he uses the calm fruit on Law, so he can't scream out and tell him no, don't do this.
Yeah. And he once he goes down smiling at him, trying to make him laugh, trying to make him happy, and it just shows you like how fucked up Law's life was.
Yeah.
And that's why Law has so many problems right now where he's at. But really well done. Really well done, the orientation there. So then you meet another part of Dressrosa then is the Dressrosa family, which again, crazy like life a lot of these people lead. So we talked about the toys earlier. You find out that the reason, and this is fucked up too, is one of Treble's people that reports to him is Sugar. Sugar's a little girl
Well, she looks like a little girl.
She looks like a little girl, but the toy fruit, or whatever it's called, is if she touches you, she turns you into a toy. You retain all your memories and everything you are. You know everything about you, but you're a toy. You're stuck in a toy body. And everyone else forgets who the fuck you are and doesn't remember that you ever even existed or what they were doing with you, which is so messed up.
Yeah. It's so terrifying.
It's a terrifying island because, like, you think, oh, how nice, all these little kids, like, playing with these toys that are alive, which really is like their mom and dad.
Yeah, or, you know, their best friend or whoever.
Or their sister or whoever, like, that Sugar turns, and then the toys are loyal to Sugar. They have to do whatever she asks.
She makes some kind of a contract with them, which they have no way not to sign. She just says, "Time for the contract," and then she goes through her shit.
And they have to do what they want. They have to do what she asks. It's really crazy. Like in like you find out that in this island, so you have King Riku, King Riku's wife. Or King Riku's daughter.
Two daughters, Viola and Scarlet.
Viola and Scarlet. Viola has, what's her devil fruit?
She's
far away.
She basically has clairvoyance. I don't know what it's called, but she has clairvoyance.
Yeah. She has that, and then like Scarlet, then being the daughter of the king, meets this guy Kyros, and I fucking love Kyros.
Kyros is fantastic.
He is like this criminal that King Riku took under his wing, and he enters these Coliseum fights, and he fucking levels everybody.
Yeah,
like, there's nobody that can even lay a hand on him.
I think the deal was the king said, "Come and fight, and if you win 100 battles or something like that, you can go free." And he ends up winning like what? 9,000 battles.
So many battles. I mean, like no one even touches him. It's so insane how tough he is. He marries Scarlet. They have to do it in secret because he's not royalty.
Yeah, well, she hates him at first.
She does hate him at first.
Because she knows he was a criminal and all that. And he saves her. She gets kidnapped, and he saves her.
He fucks those dudes up.
Oh, yeah.
That kidnap her. I mean, like, they show you how tough he is, and those guys kidnap her. He runs those dudes down. Like, he is not to be fucked with. It's him and a sword. He is such a badass dude the way they portray him.
Yeah.
And he has a great voice. The voice actor for him in English is great.
Yep.
That guy. He's got that Spanish-like flair to it.
He sounds like Antonio Banderas.
He does.
I thought he sounded.
He does. Yeah, he's Rebecca Giros. He's just great. Like, and he's the toy soldier the entire time. I mean, it's such a crazy story. He is so this island that they have, you know, Doflamingo and the Don Quixote pirates arrive in Dressrosa. He uses his string power.
10 years prior to where we are in the story right now.
10 years prior. He uses his power to control King Riku. Basically make the king ride around in town and kill people.
Yeah, and not only the king, but the king and like his top army officials.
And he's just and everyone loses their faith in King Riku. Everyone loses their faith in the royal family. All this horrible shit. And he's just being manipulated. Kyros, living out in the woods with his daughter, Rebecca, and his wife, is like, fuck this. I'm going to go kill this dude. I'm going to save your dad, because his dad's like his dad.
Yeah.
Is messing up every guard that they even put in this guy's way. And then he goes right for Doflamingo, and then Sugar turns him into a toy.
Well, they finally capture him and bring him into the throne room.
They put like a sea prism stone thing around his leg. Yeah.
Which he doesn't have devil fruit.
But it's so strong. You can't cut it.
It's a super strong chain. He somehow gets a hold of his sword, chops off his own goddamn leg, and then dives at Dofi with the sword.
Yeah, like a lunatic. And then Sugar turns him into a toy, and he's a one-legged toy soldier person.
With a roller skate.
Yeah, with a roller skate, and everyone forgets about this dude. There's a statue of this guy at the Coliseum and no one remembers who he is or why that statue's there.
Yeah,
Like,
they're not even sure. The way some people talk about him there is they're not even sure if he really existed because the number of battles that he won was so unbelievable.
Or it's just a story they told.
Yeah.
And then it's so tragic. He goes back to find his daughter. His wife's dead.
By Diamante's hand.
Yeah, by Diamante's hand. And he like raises his daughter as a toy soldier.
Yeah.
Teaches her how to fight. She like ends up like loving the soldier as like, you know, her protector.
Yeah.
Just keeps her safe. Just keeps his daughter safe for 10 years, taking care of her, doing everything for her until she grows up to be like, I think she's like a teenager and she's wearing the most skimpiest ass fucking outfit.
My God. This
outfit. If I was Karis, I would have been like, bitch, can you put some clothes on? Like,
seriously.
You know, what are you walking around showing it all like this? This isn't how you fight in the gladiator combat things. Wear it with your boobs out.
I mean, Nami wears more clothes than this chick does.
Yes. Rebecca lets it all hang out. So it's phenomenal how he also, you know, there's how do you call them? The Tontanada tribe?
Tantata
tribe. They are fairies that live in the green bit. That's like the island offside Dressrosa.
Yeah.
And they want to like attack Dolphy, and Kira says this toy soldier is like training them and leading them, and I mean he's just everywhere, and it's just crazy everything that he does, and he's a badass fighter,
even as a toy.
Even as a toy carrying a gun, hitting you with the blunt end of the gun. Like, it's really insane how good he is with just like that. But yeah, it's nuts. It's a tragic ass story. Some of the other people that are around is, of course, you have Kinemon and Momonosuke there.
Yep.
They're still hanging about. They are looking for Conjuro.
Yes.
Conjuro's another samurai with, again, a weird power. What is it? The paint? Because they meet that one girl that's a part of the family, and she has like the art fruit where she turns everything art.
Yeah. That's Jim. What's her name? Giola.
Giola, and they beat her. It only takes like Brooke and a couple of those people to beat her.
Yeah, but she fucks up the Sunny. Like,
she does. Yeah.
Turns the Sunny into like friggin' painting. I can't remember.
Like an abstract. She does thing like abstract
art.
Yeah, it's funny. What was I talking about though? The Conjuro. So Conjuro's power is like he draws it with a paintbrush. Instead of like a samurai sword being a samurai from Wano, he has a paintbrush, and he makes the stupidest drawings I've ever seen. And they all look. Would you say to me they all look like they're in pain?
They all look like they're in pain and suffering.
Yeah.
That's
pretty funny.
Fudi no Mi. What the hell is the English name?
Fudi no Mi. For what? What are you looking up here?
Ink brush.
Yeah.
It's the ink fruit.
Yeah. And Conjuro is obviously the dude that Kinemon was looking for. They're friends. You don't get too much into why Conjuro is important yet, but you know, these are all the Wano guys they're sort of collecting.
Okay.
Which comes to play a little later on. So all these people introduced, all this stuff happening, all these groups together. You arrive in Dressrosa. Luffy gets the big news. There's going to be a Coliseum battle, like the ones we talked about with Kiros being in. And the winner of it is going to get the flame fruit. Because somehow Doflamingo got his hands on the flame fruit. I don't know how.
So quickly after Ace's death, and he just, I've just got the flame fruit.
Well, you know, he deals in the underground, and that fruit would have reappeared somewhere, anywhere. So if it appeared somewhere and like someone got their hands on it, I'm sure with his family they probably had someone killed to get it, or bought it off somebody, or did something. But he's gonna have and really, I think the only reason he has all this big Coliseum is really just to distract Luffy while all this stuff is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have like several tiers that you have to get through, and you meet all these fighters in this Coliseum. Some of the main ones being Bartolomeo,
Cavendish,
um,
Chinjao.
Yeah, Don. What was that? Don Chow, Don Chi, whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah, Don Chinjao.
Don Chinjao. A giant, all kind of different characters, lots of different people, lots of different long arm tribe, long leg tribe. They're all in there. Like the one guy with the weird shoulders and all that. Like there's so many of them.
He was the punch guy. He was a long arm tribe. He just hid his other joint up, so it looked like he had weird shoulders,
which is odd.
We also had the Fishman Hawk. We had the Hack. Okay. We had Isabello, the king that had the massive punch. He was like a boxer.
The king punch. Yep.
The Blue Gilly was the long-legged dude. We had Bellamy, of course. Then there was a mysterious masked fighter named Ricky, who ends up being King Riku.
yeah. King Riku was in his own fight. And then you were told that Luffy needed a disguise if he was going to enter this fight. So he puts on a fake, like Master Roshi beard from Dragon Ball, a helmet, and he just calls himself Lucy.
And a cape.
And a cape. And I love that till this day, Rebecca still calls him Lucy.
Yes. It never changes.
Lucy. And he's Lucy, and he's like trying not to call out his gum powers as he's fighting. Can't help himself. And they do like 3 different tiers of this. And the great thing about my favorite being Bartolomeo, the great thing about him is he's Bartolomeo the cannibal.
Yeah.
He has like menacing teeth where you know this guy's eaten people before.
Uh-huh.
And you don't get a name like that without doing that. And he's a scary looking dude. And
they talk about him as if he's I can't remember. He was the something most hated. I don't know, most hated of the young generation or something. I can't. What the hell was his title?
He had a lot of bad titles.
Yeah. Oh, he attacked innocent people for no reason at all.
Yeah, he's a scary dude with scary. He has that barrier stuff, and it's just funny that you find out that he was in Logtown again, but this time when Buggy was gonna kill Luffy.
Yep.
And was saved by Dragon, and you see all that stuff happening, and then Luffy announced, I'm king of the pirates, and I'm going to do all this. I'm going to become king of the pirates. And Bartolomeo loves him.
he just becomes like a super fan.
A super fan obsessed with the Straw Hats, everything about him. He studies the Straw Hats. He doesn't know Usopp. He knows Sniper King. He gets all of their wanted posters. His whole entire ship is dedicated to Luffy. It's like a Luffy on the front.
Not just Luffy. Yeah, Luffy is like the headpiece in the front, but then Chopper's head is the stern of the ship.
Yeah. It's so funny what a super fan he becomes. He loves Luffy. Mr. Luffy has his Brooklyn accent. It is so great to me how good and he's actually has a really strong devil fruit power.
Yeah.
Like his barrier is really tough.
Fruit is badass.
I also thought Cavendish is great because Cavendish hates Luffy for like stealing his thunder and all this stuff.
Because his whole thing is he just wants to be famous. He doesn't care. He just wants to be famous, wants to be in the news. And every time Luffy does something, he makes the news, and it takes Cavendish out of the news.
But he has a crazy power too, where like he has a split personality that takes over that's insane and kills people at will. So they each have their own like weird little abilities and stuff. The Coliseum fight is crazy. Lucy of course qualifies, but all of this is just really leading up to that. The Revolutionary Army is in Dressrosa. Hack is a part of the army. Koala that we met all those years, not that long ago, but she was a part of Fishman Island. She was the one that Fisher Tiger had freed and rescued and all that. Koala's there. She grew up a lot since the last time we saw her.
Yeah.
She grew up in a lot of certain areas, which they're like, okay, Koala, calm down. And they're led by basically the second command of the Revolution Army, which is Saba, the chief of staff. Saba's alive. Saba's a badass, using hockey like it's nothing.
I gotta be honest. If Sabo and Luffy went head to head, I don't know who comes out on top. Now, honestly,
depends what level they're at the time. Yeah,
but like now that he's got the flame fruit, like I don't know that Luffy could beat Sabo.
He really does use it really, really well too. Almost differently. He instantly knew how to use it too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because he does that claw thing, and then he starts doing that fire claw. Sabo wins the tournament, wins the fruit, fucks people up with it. I love the Revolutionary Army. I think they're great.
Yeah, I want more. I want a lot more.
I love their involvement here. Other players we haven't mentioned yet in this whole thing is the Navy's also here on Dressrosa.
Yeah.
The Navy shows up. There's a new admiral. It's Fujitora. Fujitora has a crazy ass power too.
He's basically, I think it's called the Grav fruit. He basically controls gravity.
Yeah, he's like fucking Graviton from the Marvel Universe. He's just pulling asteroids out of the air and raining them down on people like it's nothing. All using his sword.
Yeah. And he's blind. Let's not leave that out. He's blind.
He's blind, but it doesn't affect him one bit. He's able to just sense everything around him. Sengoku's there. He's now the Inspector General. He's old. He got his white hair. How do you say her name? Tisaru?
Yeah, Tisaru, I think is how you say it.
She's the old lady.
The only reason I like her is because she doesn't take anybody's shit. She's
good.
Like at the very end, spoiler alert, Luffy beats Doffy. But they're taking Doffy away from Dressrosa, and he's in all these chains and still popping his attitude.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And he says something to Tisaru, and she's just like, "You're in chains. Shut the hell up."
Yeah. But that's how much they fear him, that like he's gonna get loose again. So yeah, there's a lot of Marines there. There's all this stuff going on. There's so much stuff happening in this stuff. Once they get through the whole Coliseum thing and they get kind of refocused, that Frankie has to shut the Smile Factory down because that's where they're making all those devil fruits from for Kaido.
Yep.
We now know that we forgot to mention this in Punk Hazard that Law wants to go after Kaido.
Yes.
Law wants to take down. That's the first emperor he wants to take down. Luffy's okay with it because Luffy wants to take down all the emperors so he can be king of the pirates.
Yep.
And it said we'll deal with Shanks last, which was crazy. So this is all related to Kaido. We're gonna shut the Smile Factory down. We got to stop all that. Doffy kind of figures out they're all here, and I mean he is just so evil. What's he launched? The bird cage.
Oh yeah, the birdcage thing, which
is just a giant cage of strings around the island so no one can leave.
And apparently just by touching it, they cut you.
Yeah, so sharp. So you have all these different battles going on where then the Straw Hats start separating. And one of the main things in the beginning is by accident, Usopp takes out Sugar.
Yes.
Because Sugar never sleeps. She never ages. She's never knocked out. He actually knocks her out, which is a key thing because that's what like the Tantara, the tribe or whatever those guys are called. How do you say those guys?
Tantara
tribe. They want to take her out, and he does by accident, which leads everybody to think that he's a god.
Yeah. Well, they come up with this. She's constantly eating grapes when she walks around. She's just eating grapes.
Yeah.
So the Tantaras have this fruit or this flower or something that they can make look like a grape that is like the hottest substance on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like, 50 billion Scoville units or whatever. So they try and sneak it in, and she kind of discovers it, and then when she's confronting Usopp, she feeds it to him, and his reaction is what scares her so much she passes
out. Right. Which is a total game changer once she does that, because at that point, the island of Dressrosa wakes up.
It frees all the toys. Everybody has to remember.
Horrific memories of. Remember they showed you those videos of like, you're with your father, then she gets touched by sugar, and then like I don't remember who daddy is anymore, and then all these people are like, you're my husband, and like remembering everything. And this basically, that act right there starts the war between everyone now. So now you have the Straw Hats who are there, because we forgot to mention this in the beginning. The Straw Hats separate
again, as you know.
Yeah, because the Big Mom pirates show up, and Sanji basically says, hey, Captain, permission to engage them in a fight. And he says, I already started a fight with Big Mom back on Fishman Island, so go right ahead.
Yeah.
And they take off for
Zoe.
They take off for Zoe, yeah. Because that's where they're going to meet up with their other allies. That's where the Heart Pirates are.
And they take Caesar as well. They're still trying to keep Caesar away from Doflamingo.
Caesar, Momonosuke, Nami, Brooke, Chopper, Sanji, they all leave.
Yep.
So you just have the remaining Straw Hats. You have Frankie leading that battle. You have Usopp and Robin together. Zoro's there. And they start.
Zoro's with Kinemon most of the time when he's not lost.
Most of the time. Kinemon, then Kanjuro's with them. And they kind of break into these things where they're going to fight these generals. Now that Kyros is free and one leg fucking jumping around on one leg like it's nothing. He goes right after Diamante, which is a great fight.
That one lasts a while, yeah.
That was a good one. Zoro takes on Pika, keeps cutting that mountain-sized person in half. And Luffy and Law take on Treble and Doflamingo.
Yes. And then Sugar finally wakes up,
which was a cool moment. She wakes up and they're like, she's gonna touch Luffy because Luffy doesn't know what Sugar looks like.
Yep.
They're like, and he just says, "Oh, who's this kid walking towards us? Does she need help?" And think about that. If she would have touched Luffy, they would all forgot who Luffy was.
Yeah.
And Usopp gets his moment. He hits her with one of his things from like fucking 2 miles away.
This is the stupidest thing though. He has Kanjuro, who has that ink power thing.
Yeah.
Draw a bad picture of the face that Usopp made when he first knocked Sugar out.
Yeah.
He wraps it in one of the plant things pods that he had from his time, his 2-year gap training island. And yeah, shoots it from like 2 miles away through a window that is said in the show 15 inches by 15 inches.
It's a little one.
With a goddamn slingshot.
Well, that just shows you, that gives you that Usopp is using a bit of observation hockey.
Yeah.
He's aware of things like that. And he needs his moment. They all get their moments, you know. Yeah. Robin gets a little moment to save people. They all have those moments. But yeah, they take Sugar back out, and then the fighting continues. And you basically get down to then Luffy versus Doflamingo.
Yeah.
And Law obviously injures him, and of course the string fruit can do anything. It can even repair your internal organs.
Yeah, Law does a move. I can't even remember what it calls it, but it's electro knife or something like that.
It's like injection knife or something.
Yeah, but he basically just destroys all of Dofi's internal organs.
He injected him with a virus.
Yeah.
It was like killing him from the inside.
Crazy.
He gets his arm cut off. I mean, yeah, it's nuts. The fight is nuts. That's when you find out that, because Luffy keeps hitting Treble and he's like, I'm not hurting him with hockey. And you find out his body ain't even there. It's just like all that mucus shit around him, which was funny. But yeah, this leads to the big realization then when they're getting into it and they're fighting. And the cool thing about this is all the Coliseum people start fighting behind Luffy.
Yes.
And they help take a lot of the family out too, which is cool.
Yeah.
They team up. They're all teaming up. Dolphy starts bringing the birdcage in slowly, which was nuts. He was just going to squeeze in everybody real tight, and they're all trying to block it. The barrier fruit, Zoro tries to cut it.
Frankie's put the Smile Factory's made out of sea prism stone, and for some reason the strings won't cut it. So Frankie and the Tontada tribe,
devil fruits don't work on it. Yeah,
they're just pushing against the factory as it like slowly gets dragged across the ground.
Frankie had a good fight with Senior Pink.
That was a good fight. It was a long fight.
Hit him with the wrestling moves. There's a lot of wrestling moves in there.
Yeah. Now I gotta ask, and you may not even know this. Why the fuck did Senior Pink's the girls? Why was it hard? He's so hard boiled.
I don't know what that was. I don't know why they liked him so much. He was old, out of shape, wearing a diaper, and they thought he was so cool.
The funniest thing, every time he needed to like blow his nose, he'd just reach over and rip off one of their bikini tops, blow his nose with it, and then throw it away.
Yeah, it was really weird. They do a lot of that weird stuff. But the part that, for me, which was awesome, is, you get to a part where Luffy realizes he can't beat him in the end of the episode, because I knew it was coming, but I didn't know where. But he was like, "You don't understand. I'm not losing," which takes back to what Zoro said to him on Punk Hazard of, "We don't lose no more. Like, enough of this shit." And then he was like, "I'm not doing it anymore." And he raises his arm and he says, "Fourth gear." And you're like, "Ooh, boy, let me get to that." I was gonna go to bed, but I'm like, I'm going to that next episode now. And like, anytime they introduce anything that's tough, like, he introduces it, it's insane. Fourth gear bounce, man, is insane. But he's kicking the shit out of Doflamingo with it, doing all those crazy the bouncing and everything that he does.
Basically, he balloons his entire body, except his legs.
Covers it in armament and hockey.
Yeah, his whole body's then covered in armament hockey. And he just bounces. It's a balloon. It's so,
muscle balloon.
Yeah, muscle balloon.
But then he's able to do things like he pushes his legs up into his body, so then when he shoots them out with so much force, he actually flies.
Yeah, he's got like a little turbo thruster.
Yeah. And then his arms, like when he does those guns, he retracts it in.
Yeah, and the combination of the armament hockey, the rigidity of the armament hockey, but his rubber body, like, it adds what they say tensile strength.
Yeah,
is what it adds, and I don't. It's all.
And you see the origin of it, where he came up with it on the island.
Yeah,
and was showing it to Rayleigh and stuff like that. It's nuts. Like, of course, when he first shows it, it's totally overpowered. He's beating the shit out of Dofi, but then there's a time limit of how long he can use it. Yeah. And he runs out of time before he almost knocks him on his ass.
Yeah, he gets like to the final blow, and then he fades out right before the killing blow.
And he needs 10 minutes.
And that is the longest 10 minutes in anime history.
It's 3 episodes, that 10 minutes.
Is it only 3? I was thinking it was 4.
3 or 4, and he's sleeping on his back, on a guy's back, and then you have an announcer. It gets really funny.
The announcer's the one who was carrying him around from the Coliseum. It's the Coliseum announcer.
Yeah. Like, if you can give me 10 minutes, I know I can beat him. Like, the confidence level.
One punch.
Yeah, he's like, I only need one shot. I know I can beat him. Because it shows you on the island when he was training with Rayleigh that he had come up with elephant gun.
Yeah.
And he showed him using it, and Rayleigh was like, well, King Kong elephant gun. Okay, or with a King Kong gun, right? A King Kong, something of that nature, right?
Yeah.
So he comes up with that huge ass, which is technically pulling the arm back into that thing, but instead he blew it up even further and made it like 10 times the size of his normal fist. So it's almost like blowing up fourth gear, but then blowing it up even further. Yeah. And he creates that giant fist.
But then it's still that, like, what they show you there is that still wasn't powerful enough to beat the thing on the island that he was fighting. And so he goes to Rayleigh and he's like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to go. Or like, hey man, or Rayleigh tells him, like, hey, your hockey's got a limit. You can only use it for so long, and it takes a real toll on your body. You got to be careful. And he's like, so what are you gonna do when you go back to beat him? I'm gonna power up this way. And he's like, no, that's exactly the opposite of what I just told you to do.
Yeah. And he does. And they have you also see the first time, I think, here how devil fruits can be awakened.
Yes, because Dofi gets his quote-unquote awakening.
Which then means, which a lot of awakened powers is then, not only does his ability affect him, but he can put it on other things.
Yeah.
That's really what awakening becomes for a lot of people, is that, like, not only am I now using strings, but I'll turn things into strings.
What the hell is Luffy going to be able to do when he gets there?
No, I've already seen some spoilers on that, but yeah, there's some craziness there. But yeah, he turns it on there, and turns the whole goddamn town into strings, and then can cover said strings and arm it in hockey, so it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
But Luffy knocks him out, punches the fuck out of him.
Knocks him through the island.
Yeah. And in One Piece, which is a trope they do, is when someone's finally down for good because their eyes go white.
Yeah.
Like, if you see someone fighting, they're down and they're not out, but, like, the glasses get knocked off and his eyes are white and his mouth's open with his tongue hanging out, you're like, oh, he's done now.
Yeah.
That's a total finish. But you had the same reaction to me. When that happened, I'm like, is someone going to go put cuffs on Dofi before he wakes up? And they finally go and do it.
Yeah.
So we had a nice thing after this. He passes out. Everyone loves the Straw Hats. Yeah. Everybody's happy. But then the Navy's still there. So you have to deal with the Navy. They're looking for Luffy. They're trying to find him. They go to Kiros's house, which I thought was nice. And they're all kind of like hanging out. And you get the backstory on Sabo,
which was so cool.
You finally got to see Sabo and which, think about through this kind of mindset right here. Sabo and Luffy meet at the Coliseum. Luffy starts crying, and then the next thing you know, he's
a blubbering baby.
Yeah, he's running home. He's running with Zoro. Zoro's like, "You're still crying about this? You never saw what they said."
No.
Now we got
the whole thing.
Now you got to see it 20 days later.
Yeah.
Me about 40 days later. That was like 2.5 years if you were watching that live.
Yeah, I can't.
So for 2.5 years, you're like, what the hell did they? Where's it? You forget about it. It's so crazy. But they, he told him everything that happened to him. They hugged. They cried. He said, I'll handle the flame fruit, which is perfect. He should have it. He has a heck of a fight when Luffy's doing his sleeping in that 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Jesus Burgess, who was in the Coliseum fights, shows up. And we forgot to mention that the Coliseum people, why they were so dedicated to Luffy and his crew, was because after you lose, you went down to a medical room, and then they would say, okay, you'll be okay, and they put you in a trapdoor, you end up, and sugar would touch you.
Yeah.
And then you become a toy. And all those Coliseum people are like, holy shit, I'm a toy now for the rest of my life. So when the Straw Hats saved them, they felt like they owed them a debt.
Yeah, life debt.
So they were like, we're going to fight with you no matter what. But Jesus Burgess shows up, and he's like going to fuck up Luffy. And then Sabo fucks that dude up, which is so great, that fight.
And it is so easy.
So easy.
Not even a sweat.
And then he's like, I love the scene where he said, I have no need to finish you. He's like, my brother disagrees. And he like points to his hand, the flame fist. And then he does the fire fist. And you see Ace's image behind him. Like, that's a great moment. Like, he's channeling Ace.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Ace is in that fruit. Because I've always felt like remnants of whoever used the devil fruit before you kind of stick with you. Is something I thought. There's a part of you, them in there, or somehow they're connected. Because I really feel like he's channeling Ace.
Yeah.
And he fucked that dude up.
Now, this could be a little spoilery. Is Burgess gone, or does he end up back with the Blackbeard crew?
Is that, you want to know that? Have you seen that yet?
I'm curious. Because
I was disappointed that he wasn't dead.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So you find out that he's completely burned alive, completely wrecked, and it ties into a whole arc afterwards with
okay, all right,
where he ends up. But I'm like, how's he alive? Like, come
seriously, he was like a dragon flamethrower,
and he looks like he's like completely dead when they find him on this island. But yeah, I hate that dude, Jesus Burgess. I think he's the worst.
Yeah, I hate him. So all right, well now that like it's okay.
So yeah, so then you get the story, because I always wondered, why didn't Sabo come for Ace when Ace was gonna be killed? But you find out that Sabo lost his memory his whole life.
Yeah, until
he read the news
that Ace was killed.
Yeah, so all that time he was just being a Revolutionary Army leader, doing all his stuff, and then he read that news and said, "That was my brother." And I mean, you feel his pain. Like, it's
holy
sad when he reads
that scene. Oh my god,
and he's just crying and he's in pain, and then he wants to go find Luffy, and him and Luffy are so good together. Like, it's so good because like you love Luffy and Ace together, and then when they finally had Sabo and Luffy fighting side by side, you're like, man, this just feels good, like to see them together and be, because I always felt like Sabo looks a little bit more like, I know they're not real brothers, but he has like the same eyes. Yeah, he has the round eyes like Luffy. And they're great. I mean, I hope they get together again, because I'd love to see more of it.
Yeah.
And he knew Robin, because Robin, was saved by them. So, yeah, them sitting there, Zoro drinking all of
Kiros's booze.
And now, if you were Kiros, how fucking tired would you be?
Seriously.
Like, you were a toy. You probably barely slept. You've been tortured your whole life. You fought all these battles. And he's just like, I'm going to take a nap. He sleeps for maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let Kiros sleep, man. That dude needs a nap. But the end of this is so great, because I've always said before why Luffy is so different from other characters. Because you think of him as like this moron and this idiot, but he gets serious when he has to fight. But then he sticks on principle with things that he won't let go. So Kiros is like, I'm a known criminal. My daughter, I don't want to like be.
She's royalty.
She's royalty now. He goes off on his own, and they're like, we got to get out of here. Fujitora and the government's on us. He's like, nope. Got to go make sure Rebecca knows that like Kiros is planning on doing this and planning on leaving. Like, it's so important to him.
Yep.
And then the rest of them are like, all right, he's got to do it, which leads him to fighting Fujitora, and he almost gets hurt there because that guy is crazy.
That fight. Oh my god, that fight. So yeah, so Luffy like runs through this back into the city to the palace to tell Rebecca that her father's leaving. And he basically kidnaps her. Everybody think he kidnaps her. Like,
yeah,
oh my
they
god,
change her mind on him. Yeah,
the Straw Hats weren't actually good. But he takes Rebecca. She gets her with Kiros, and that ends happily. But yeah, now Luffy gets back to the port where they're all leaving, just as Fujitora gets to the port. And Luffy, instead of running by him and trying to get away, just is like, screw this, I'm gonna fight this guy.
Yeah.
And
they're like, you don't need to fight him right now, but he's like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I do. And then he's calling out every single move even more than he usually does, because he doesn't think it's fair that Fujitora is blind and he can't see what's coming.
Yeah.
So he's like, now I'm going to hit you really fast. Gum gum Gatling gun. Now I'm going to kick you really hard. Like, just Luffy.
It's just Luffy, man. Like, he doesn't like, he's just got so much honor in the stuff that he does,
To a fault.
Yeah. To a fault, for sure. That's for sure. So yeah, that part's really, really good. And then what I thought was good with Fujitora then was he lifts up like all the rubble from the city and has it just hanging over the island, like clears all the destruction out. And you're like, he's gonna drop it on the straw hats that are escaping, but instead he drops it on all the other pirates that are coming to like kill Luffy and all that, basically pissing off Akainu big time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great moment. They leave. Now we finally get to, that they want to form this Straw Hat Alliance, this fleet. And again, typical Luffy. They're like, we're all behind you. You got 5,000 men to use. And he's just like, no thanks.
5,000 men.
He's like, no thanks.
I'm good.
And I love that Baby 5 ends up with that one guy.
Yeah.
Who has the foot, like hockey stuff and all that.
The grandson of Don Kinjao.
Yeah, because they're fighting, and he says nice things to her, and she's like, "He loves me."
Yeah,
so she just switches sides.
Yeah, and then when the Navy's rounding up all the Don Quixote family, and he's like, "You stay right here," and she's like, "Oh." That was good.
It's a great moment.
We did forget one thing that before this happens, before they leave, Law goes and sees Sengoku.
Oh, that's right.
Because he knows that Korra was working for Sengoku, and Sengoku basically raised Korra. And so Law goes to talk to Sengoku, kind of about that and what happened. And they have a little moment. Sengoku, you kind of come around to the other side of Sengoku because he was a pretty big asshole at Marineford. So
yeah, he really understands the difference now.
Yeah,
and that the government's kind of warped and wacky, and yeah, it's a whole different sort of situation for him now. But I mean, when another great moment is Bartolomeo going through the wanted posters,
and asking for autographs.
And I love that he's like so nice. He wants to have everything, but he hates Law. It's like, no one asked you, you jerk, like just being mean to him. And it's good. Yeah, he they kind of like trick Luffy and say, we are with you, and he's like, you guys tricked me. But they're with him. The thing I don't understand about them is I haven't seen them yet again since then. And I imagine he's going to need them at some point because they are his dedicated guys. But they're not Wano or anything like that yet, so.
I saw a headline, and this was from, I don't think this is even in the anime yet. I think this was from the manga, because the image in the thumbnail for the video was the black and white. But it kind of showed a picture of Shanks with that surprised Luffy face, where he's just like, ah? And it's Shanks' reaction to Luffy's fleet.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to get them all together at some point.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, because if you have them, why wouldn't you use them?
Yeah, exactly. And I think at some point, Luffy's going to realize that, all right, yeah, I need this.
Yeah, Luffy's too stubborn because all he's thinking about in this thing is, he's like, get out of here. I'm going to go kill Kaido. I don't need your help. I'm going to defeat him. Yeah, I don't need help from you guys. Luffy's very stubborn like that,
Yes.
Because you remember everything that he said before was that I only need 10 people in my crew.
Yeah.
When I got them, that's all I need. So, yeah, pretty funny. But that's it. It's a heck of a arc. There's a ton of stuff to it. I'm sure we forgot some good key moments, but
yeah.
A lot to talk about there. A lot of stuff going on. You get a good glimpse of the Revolutionary Army and what they're about and what they do. I think you see Sabo here go back home and talk to Dragon.
He heads back, but we actually see Koala can go to Dragon. And she's telling him about Sabo, and then she goes, oh, wait a minute. Don't you want to know what's going on with Luffy? And he's just kind of like, okay, we're done here. Go ahead and leave. And kind of dismisses her. She doesn't really think two things about it, but
yeah,
we don't see Sabo go to Dragon. We see Koala go to Dragon.
all right, that didn't happen yet then, because he does go talk to Dragon. Okay, yeah, so lots of cool stuff there. Dofi's on his way to Impel Down.
Yep.
And that's where they stand now. At this point, then they are heading to Zoe now.
Yes.
So we'll cover Zoe individually.
Well, the one little last thing, when the way they're leaving, when the fleet is formed, they end up on Bartolomeo's ship, and Bartolomeo takes them to Zoe.
Yeah. He's traveling them on their ship, and he's loving it. So yeah, that's where we end with that. You're watching Zoe now. We'll come back and we'll talk Zoe here eventually.
Probably in a few days.
Yeah, well, who knows? We'll make you wait a little bit. We'll make you wait till next Sunday at least. You maniac. He did, ladies and gentlemen, he did speed through the end of this arc really fast. He was mad one night he couldn't watch 8 episodes in one day or one night or whatever.
Yeah, because I had a goal. I wanted to finish it before the end of June, and I finished it. Or no, I wanted to finish it by the 29th. I think I finished it on the 30th.
Yeah.
So.
He's insane sometimes, people. He's insane.
It's good stuff.
He's moving. It's good stuff. He's moving through it. All right. Is that it?
I think that's it. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, all those things. Thank you for the support you've given this new show that we do on our own. It's important to us that it does well because, again, it doesn't star Ken and Brock, and we like to be popular without them so we can eventually get rid of them and won't need them anymore. That's our goal. Talking anime, then we'll be talking everything with just Dawn and Justin because that's really all you need. All right. Later, everyone. Bye.